Bharati Kotwal is an MBA from Delhi University with a certificate in feminism from Women's Studies Center, Pune University. She's a co-group member of Muskaan and Aalochana program against CSA since its inception in 2000. She has conducted many awareness sessions on child sexual abuse for parents, teachers, social work and law students, and community members. She's also co authored a paper on imperative to include child sexual abuse in the curricula of social work for an international conference on social work education in the contemporary world, organized by Carvey Institute of Social Sciences in 2012. Her topic for today is understanding and helping children in conflict with law for sexual offenses. I welcome on stage Ms. Bharati Kotwal from Muskaan.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Foundation, for inviting me for this conference and organizing this conference, which is so essential for people who are working on this issue. I'm going to talk about understanding and helping children in conflict with law for sexual offenses. And I'm from an NGO called Aalochana, and the program is Muskaan, which works on sexual abuse. Aalochana is a resource and it's a documentation resource center based in Pune, and it's been working on social and political empowerment of women since 1989. As a documentation center, it has books and periodicals, manuals, reports, documentary films on issues to do with children and women. And it has two outreach programs right now. One is a mobile resource center, which goes to community-based organizations in Pune and around the city of Pune in rural areas, and Muskaan, which is the program against child sexual abuse. The history of Muskaan is we started as a campaign against child sexual abuse where there were NGOs with us and activists and lawyers and so on, teachers. But since 2006, we have functioned as a program of Aalochana. The reasons for taking up the issue of child sexual abuse is, as we all of us know, is that it's so rampant, it's so prevalent, but it hardly gets reported or talked about. It's very insidious. It takes place by people known to the child, so the child is enabled to talk about the abuse. There's stigma and taboo about talking about it, so there's denial among the adults. Also, there is no there's no satisfactory closure to these cases. There can be long-term and serious impact for some children. Some children, of course, are resilient, but others can have can suffer from very negative consequences of child sexual abuse. The criminal justice system is very inadequate to deal with it because prosecution and conviction both take very long. There can be further trauma to the child. So for all these reasons, prevention is very important. Also, it's a very complex and difficult issue to handle. So our emphasis is on prevention through awareness with a broad spectrum of population. As we have worked over the last 13 years, since 2000, there has been an increase in demand for awareness, and it's come from schools, community-based organizations, NGOs, police personnel, and so on. And there have also been case referrals. Okay, our main activities are, we do awareness sessions with children and adults. With children, we use puppets for very young children to teach them about safe and unsafe touch, because we find puppets are more useful rather than just talking to them. With adolescents, apart from talking to them about who can be the abusers and who can be abused, the forms of sexual abuse and so on, we also talk to them about their body, sexuality. We give them comprehensive sexuality education. We talk to them about the changes that happen at puberty. We talk about gender also. We talk about power relations, power structures, and so on. So it's a comprehensive education with the older children. And with adults like parents and teachers, it's again, we define the forms of abuse. We talk to them about debunking various myths and misconceptions about abuse. Then the various symptoms of abuse, how they can detect whether it's happening with their children, the physical, the emotional, behavioral symptoms in children, the long-term consequences for children. Also, we give them a little idea about the medico-legal part of it, how an FIR can be registered and how to collect samples for medical evidence and so on. A little bit of information about the new Act POCSO also. We do trainings with these people, teachers, social workers, field workers, police personnel, staff of observation government homes, which are government and non-government children's homes. We call them trainings because they are a bit longer and they are more detailed and comprehensive. We also do training of trainers because obviously we can't reach everywhere that we want to. And these trainers can take our message forward to the communities and to their organizations. Also, since POCSO has come about in December 2012, we've been creating awareness about it with among police personnel, probation officers who work with children, who act as a bridge between the CWCs and the JJBs and the children. Those are the probation officers, then NGO workers and staff of children's homes also. We also do casework, counseling, and psychosocial interventions. So as we do awareness sessions with children, a lot of them come and talk to us about something that has happened to them. And quite often it's the first time they've talked to anybody about it. And many times they tell us not to tell their parents about it also. So that's a dilemma for us, and we deal with it as we think fit. We do talk to we call the parents and talk to them and sensitize them about how it has to be reported in the interest of the child, and also in the interest of other children who may be abused by the abuser if no action is taken against the abuser. We also do psychosocial interventions in the sense that if an abuse has happened in a school, we have gone to the classmates, we've gone to the class, we've gone to the school, we've gone to the children in the school, we've talked to the teachers also and to the principal to sensitize them about what the abused child can go through as a result of it, and how they should talk to the child and what their attitude should be to this child. Working with children in conflict with law is a new area of work for us. In the past, from time to time, we have organized discussion forums and capacity building workshops, and we have invited experts from outside to build our perspective, which is child-friendly and child rights based, and to improve our skills, counseling skills and so on. We also have handbooks and posters and so on, and other supporting materials like books and films and so on are available at the Aalochana library. Okay, so yeah. So as I said, this is a new area of work for us. We were invited last year by the Juvenile Justice Board, Pune district, to counsel children in conflict with law. This has happened because the magistrate of the JJB and the superintendent of the boys' observation home are child sensitive, and they think that such an interaction will help the children, to cope with their problems. So why have we taken up this work and why do we think it's important is that some of these children come from abusive background. Though it's not fair to say that every child comes from an abusive background, but it is quite likely that they have seen abuse happening in their homes or in their neighborhoods. It could be domestic violence or it could be sexual abuse against the child himself also. Also, these children who are brought by the police to the JJB and then to the home, sent to the home, are quite often labeled as criminals because they have been caught committing a crime, and they get contemptuous treatment from everybody. There's no respect given to them anywhere really, at home or in the school or in the institutions or by the police also. Another reason why we think it's important to go to these children is that they get very incorrect information about sex and sexuality. They have no access to sexuality education. I mean, even ordinary children in regular schools do not get any sexuality education. These children are even more deprived of it. What the information they get is probably from their own peers, and from pornographic material, which may be available in print media or in electronic media. As we know, there is a explosion in the media. And all this information may be very unscientific and very violent also. And it may not be the correct thing for them to absorb. They have greater exposure to sexual activity. The kind of conditions that they come from may be very cramped spaces, lack of privacy. So they may have witnessed sexual activity either in their own homes or in their vicinity, in their neighborhood. And most of them have few avenues to discuss personal issues with children, with adults. I mean, they will discuss these issues with their peers, but they really have no adult to discuss them with. Because there's no sexuality education available to them also. So these are the 4 different levels that we work on. We have a regular program of doing sexuality education with them, with boys in the observation home. We do individual counseling with them in the home, and with the children who are out on bail who come to our office for counseling. We do counseling of parents, and we do sensitization of staff of observation homes and the police. So we have done sensitization sessions with staff and children of observation homes in the past as a part of our awareness work. But this is the first time that we've been allowed access to individual children in the boys' observation home. And like I said, it is because the head of the superintendent of the observation home is a sensitive person, and the JJB magistrate is also a sensitive person. Okay. So we started with weekly sessions on sexuality and other related topics with the children in the boys' home, but we have reduced it to a fortnightly session now. And we have engaged a male resource person to do this session because, as requested by the children, because there was earlier a female person doing it, but the boys said they would be more comfortable talking to a man. So we have agreed to that request, and we have a male resource person to do the sexuality sessions. These are the topics that are covered. He tells them about anatomy, health and hygiene, sexuality including values and attitudes, taking responsibility for actions, talking a little bit about gender and patriarchy, how boys are treated, how they are brought up compared to how the girls are brought up, how the boys are expected to be violent and aggressive and the girls are supposed to be submissive, and so on. Ideas of masculinity, power structures and relations, and etc. So we understand that boys are titillated by sexual talk and they will engage in it. And even during these sexuality education sessions, they want to hear about these topics again and again. And we have to accept that and acknowledge that, but at the same time, we also have to address their concerns, their genuine concerns, and answer their questions in a non-judgmental manner. And they are happy to have somebody like that to talk to them. Okay. Also, when we were talking about health and hygiene, we found out that they had some health issues. So we suggested to the superintendent that there should be a health checkup that should be conducted. And it was conducted. Unfortunately, we found that there was no thought given to the dignity of these children. There was no private space given to them while this checkup was done. It was done almost in public, I mean, in view of everybody. So it shows how, how little the system thinks of these children as human beings or individuals. Individual counseling to children. We take a holistic view about the well-being of the child. It's not only about the sexual behavior or anything, but how the child can rehabilitate again, how he can be reintegrated into society, that sort of a thing. So we have made suggestions about the kind of classes that the child can attend if he's not in school, the vocational guidance or something that he can take up. We avoid being critical or judgmental. We don't have a moralistic or a paternalistic approach. We don't think that we know everything and the child knows nothing, and the child should listen to what we are telling him because we know what's best for him. That's not our approach. Our approach is to have a dialogue with the child, and a lot of questions and concerns come up in the dialogue, during the dialogue. We also treat them as individuals who can improve their behavior, not as individuals who you should give up on because they are beyond hope, anything. We talk to them about attitudinal and behavior options and consequences of each option. So we tell them that if they have a certain attitude towards themselves, towards their partner, towards the other person, is generally a girl that they've abused, or towards sexual abuse, what will be the consequence of that abuse, or that attitude, or that behavioral option, and we'll help them to come to a decision about the best option for them. We also explain to them that since they are minors, they're getting a chance for a better life. If they were majors, they would be in jail for the same crime. Okay. Counseling of parents of children. We help parents. Parents also go through a lot of trauma, as we know. They also have to get over their own disbelief, their shock, their anger, their guilt and shame. So we have to work with them about that also. There's denial also from parents that the sexual abuse incident has happened, especially when there's a long gap after the abuse has taken place and the case has come up to the JJB and the case has been referred to us. So we have to get them to get over that denial and accept that abuse has taken place. We have to make them aware that the child needs their emotional support, though the child has committed a crime in the eyes of the law, and people will look at him as an offender and as a person who is beyond hope and so on. They should not give up on their child, and the child needs their emotional support. We also tell them that they have to empower the child to take care of himself to some extent up to an age-appropriate manner, not to overprotect him, because quite often the parents come with the child every time for a counseling session, and we don't want them there for every counseling session. We tell them, let the child come on his own, and we'll talk to the child. Counseling parents to overcome their own trauma. Yeah. We sensitize the staff of observation homes by talking to them about child rights. I think they need this talk badly because they have a different way of looking at these children who come to the homes. They think of them as persons who are really, like I said, beyond any hope, who cannot improve. And they have to be reminded that these are children after all, and with proper help and proper counseling and guidance, that they can be put back onto track for living a better and more productive life. So we have to tell them that they have to be aware of children's rights, especially with these children who are viewed with prejudice by the society. Being sensitive to the circumstances of each child. Each child comes from a different background, and is in a different situation, and each child needs sympathy and understanding by the staff who's supposed to guide them and supervise them. Okay. We also tell the staff about knowledge of sections of POCSO. And that is a requirement under the law that awareness about POCSO has to be awareness has to spread among all members of the administrative, legal, and judicial system, so that the law can be implemented effectively. It's a child-friendly and child-centered law, and it can help to protect children from sexual abuse. We also tell them about mandatory reporting under POCSO of sexual abuse at the police station. Yeah, under this, any adult who knows that sexual abuse of a child has occurred or is about to occur has the responsibility to report it to the child protection officer at the police station. We're not sure how far this is going to happen, in practice, like Flavia said. Especially when the abuser is a known person to the child, is a family member, there is very little likelihood that it will be reported. And though there is a fine for it and a punishment, we're not sure. I don't think there is a single case of mandatory reporting that's come to the court so far. Sensitization of police personnel is to treat the child with respect while performing the duties of investigation and recording statement of the child. So the police, of course, have the job of investigating the case when a crime is committed by a child, who's a child means a child under the age of 18. They also record statement of the child and bring the child in front of the JJB. They have to understand the increased vulnerability of the child who's labeled as a criminal, and they have to be aware of their duties as supporters and protectors of children under the Juvenile Justice Act and POCSO. Okay, both. So the police play a very substantial role in as the first point of contact, because they're the first people from the legal judicial system who the child is coming into contact with, and how they deal with the child, how they question the child, how sensitive they are with the child will determine a lot of things. It will have a big impact on the future of the case and on the future of the child also. Okay. Now to go on to our observations. Each child is in a different situation. There are some cases where a boy and a girl have run away together, and the girl does not want to go home, does not want to go back to her parents' home. And the parents bring a case of missing and kidnapping child and a rape case also against the boy. And the boy, because if he's under 18, he's put in a special home, and the girl is put in a home for girls. And it's not really a fair thing to happen to the boy. In cases involving very young girls as victims, there is of course a clear situation of coercion. Okay. The children can be unwittingly charged under acts related to sexual abuse. They may not have taken any part in it. They may be just present at the scene of abuse, or they may be with people who have committed abuse, and they may have been brought by the police in front of the JJB. Children are confused about the difference between friendship, physical attraction, and love. There is natural emergence of sexual feelings and physical attraction among adolescents when they reach puberty. They need to be educated that they don't have to commit sexual abuse, nor do they have to subject themselves to abuse, they don't have to be victimized by the abuser either, to deal with these sexual feelings that have emerged at the time of puberty. So we tell the children that it's natural and normal to have sexual feelings, but you also have to stay away from abuse. Also, it is preferable to have many friends at this stage rather than only one. The commitment to one partner should be made only when they are mature enough to understand the ramifications of a physical relationship. And the feedback we got from girls in a girls' observation home where we had conducted a session was that if they had known about this difference between friendship and physical attraction and love and commitment, they would not be in the home, they would not be in the situation where they were. The children focus on the physical act of abuse. Okay, this last one is there's lack of awareness about the outcome of sexual activity resulting in irresponsible behavior. Most of the children don't know what is going to be the outcome of. They're ignorant and confused about what is a criminal offense and what is abusive behavior. Okay, they don't know what are the consequences of sexual activity. So here the order is reversed. The sexual activity takes place before any knowledge of risks of pregnancy or diseases, whereas the preferred sequence should be There should be knowledge and awareness first through sexuality education and then sexual experience. So in their case, it's reversed. So there's a lot of confusion and a lot of ignorance and leading to irresponsible behavior. The children focus on the physical act to the exclusion of any emotions or relationship. The sexual act they think can be separated from the emotional part of it, and the sexual act is of paramount importance to them. They don't think of the emotion or the relationship or the affection for the other person that go with it. The girl is looked on as an object to be used rather than a person who has feelings, opinions, and likes and dislikes. This could be the result of lack of comprehensive sexuality education and excessive exposure to pornography also, which depicts a lot of violence without any emotions or any relationship attached to it. Okay. Then there are gender roles which equate power and violence with masculinity, which are imbibed in boys from childhood. So sex, power, control, and aggression are attributes of masculinity in a patriarchal society. So boys and men, they are quick to feel, boys also learn it from their environment in the home and in society around them, that they can have a sense of entitlement to have their needs and their urges fulfilled. And society expects a woman to be subservient, to submissive, and to satisfy these needs and urges. Okay? And the belief that boys will be boys, which and will make mistakes, like some politician has remarked, which means that the girls have to protect not only themselves but their reputation and their virginity also. And what does it mean that the girls are held responsible for the abuse because they have not been able to protect themselves, while the boys will behave. There will be no change to their behavior. They will behave in the way that they think is natural to them. And so it holds the victim responsible for the abuse, and it also stigmatizes the victim for the abuse, because and then it's said that she's not able to protect her virginity also as the abuse. She's lost her virginity and her reputation, and she has not been able to protect herself. So there's a double whammy here. She's held responsible for protecting herself and protecting her virginity also. And there is no focus on the boys who should be changing their behaviors and their attitudes. Okay. So boys rationalize and justify coercive behavior by beliefs such as, how can sex with one's girlfriend be forced? If the girl excites me, how can I not respond? And girls want more sex than boys and manipulate them to get it. So these are ways of justifying and rationalizing coercive behavior. There's also peer pressure on the boys to fall in line with the idea of masculinity and macho behavior. They resort to aggression and violence as a medium for gaining power and prestige among their peer groups and in their neighborhood. The culpability of boys has increased because of the increase in the age of consent from 16 years to 18 years. It was 16 years under IPC, and it's been raised to 18 years under POCSO. So the age group of 16 to 18 years has also been brought under the ambit of the law, which means that a boy can be charged with rape and sexual abuse if he has sexual relations, and it could be just like Flavia said, it could be just kissing and holding hands and putting arms around each other. If he has sexual relations with a girl under 18, whether it's with her consent or without it, so the consent is irrelevant to the charge of abuse, because the age of consent has been increased from 16 to 18. And the boys and girls have to know about this. The boy, that he can be arrested and taken to the JJB and made to put in 3 years in the observation home if he's under 18. And he can be charged with child sexual abuse if he's over 18. And the girl also has to know that her boyfriend can serve this sentence also if she is under 18. Okay. The new law has been introduced to protect children against sexual abuse by adults more effectively, but it's a point of contention whether consensual activity between children in the age group of 16 to 18 should receive different treatment. Okay. The challenges to us is that the boys have a short and indefinite stay in the children's home. So access to the same group of boys is difficult for us, for doing the sexuality education. Okay. Some boys have been present there for the earlier sessions. Some are new. So we have to reconcile the requirements of both of them and keep them interested in a dialogue. We do not get sufficient counseling sessions with children because of their shifting population. The average stay may be just a few months for each boy. So depending on whether they get bail and how long it takes for the case to be decided and the decision of the JJB. So it becomes difficult for us to have regular counseling sessions with the same boy. Many times parents and children do not realize the importance of counseling. Counseling and community service are mandated for the children who have received bail. Such children are advised to visit our office for counseling. However, many parents and lawyers do not take it seriously and the child does not come regularly. So this is a new area of work for us, counseling children in conflict with law for sexual offences. To the best of our knowledge, I think there's very little work that's done on sexual abuse by minors. And with this new assignment, we hope to develop some understanding of their environment, thought processes, perspectives, motivation, so that we can do whatever we can in our capacity to help them, to reintegrate them into family and society. And in conformity with our approach to spread awareness across a broad spectrum of population, we work not only with children, but with parents, the staff of homes, and police who come in regular contact with these children. And we believe that cooperation and synergy between all these systems can make a positive difference in the lives of children. Thank you.
How many of your cases are elopement and boyfriend cases, and how many of them are actual sexual violence cases?
I think Kranti will be able to answer that. She's our counselor, so she's sitting right behind.
हेलो एवरीबॉडी, आई एम क्रांति फ्रॉम आलोचना। हमारे यहाँ वहाँ पर जो केसेस होते हैं, अगर वो कुछ मतलब मोस्टली होते हैं वो लोग, और रिलेशनशिप में, सेक्सुअल रिलेशनशिप में होते हैं। बहुत कम केसेस में ऐसे हुआ है कि लड़का साथ में है और पेरेंट्स को मंजूर नहीं है रिलेशनशिप, तो उन्होंने कंप्लेंट कर दिया है कि ये लड़का हमारी लड़की का पीछा करता है, इसमें लड़की का कोई इन्वॉल्वमेंट नहीं है, इसे पेरेंट्स बोलते हैं तो कंप्लेंट हो जाते हैं।
Ma'am, I have a question. In your slide, you mentioned that children focus on a physical act, and there is no emotion involved. I want to understand whether this is in the context of the juvenile homes that you work with, because in our experience, I think the emotions come in first. Children start to believe that this is a romantic relationship. They emotionally get involved, and then the touching begins, even between children or between an adult and a child. So I just want to understand if there is any evidence or data on that statement of that they focus on physical act more than the emotional.
So we have worked with, well, I have to call them juvenile offenders. So that
Bharti, mic.
oh, sorry. I have to call them minor offenders, not children in conflict with law. But we have worked only with these children, and most of them are from the, a different socio-economic background. We will not be able to compare them with other children. But with these children, we can definitely say that they separate the physical part of it, and they think there doesn't have to be any emotional part at all to a sexual act. That is true about them for sure.
And this is with teenagers.
Yeah, these are under 18.
Who are
These,
physically in a relationship.
no, they don't have to be. There is no relationship. It's just using the girl, saying that they need a girlfriend for their prestige.
They believe they use that as a pretext.
Yeah. It's also a way of gaining power for them, prestige and power among their peer groups, that they have a girlfriend who they can, whatever, make use of.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I have a question. I'm Preeti, This was a very interesting project. Also, in the morning, we discussed this whole issue of mandatory reporting, and many of us in this sector are grappling with this entire,
Yeah.
mandatory reporting which has come with POXO. In that context, I find this project very relevant and important, and for us to just maintain some data. So I think if Kranti and your team can maintain data, and if we come back at some stage, foundation takes this responsibility to bring us back again, and maybe 1 year down the line or 6 months down the line, if we can have a look at what was the nature of offense under POXO because of which that juvenile has come into the observation home. So this whole fear that many of us do have, that young boys just indulging in what POXO defines as sexual harassment. How many of these cases come under sexual harassment? Because if many of us again do intend to revisit POXO and given suggestions, if at all there is an opportunity for amendment, then this project will definitely be a good feeder for all of us when we are giving suggestions. So this is something for the project. So we are not just making any random claims or observations, but we have evidence based observations that we are making. The second thing is, I needed some clarity on what you spoke about mandatory reporting. You said we didn't have any cases that came under mandatory reporting. So if we can just go back to the slide and look at that. The third is, if you find, if the magistrate has given an order for
gone through.
counselling,
Huh. Yeah.
then in Mumbai, we've not handled many cases. The project that we are associated, Aram, just a couple of cases where the order said Prerna to follow up, and it very clearly laid down a care plan. And if at all there was no response either from our side or from the side of the client, there was a scope for us to report back the progress or no progress to the magistrate, because the order very clearly said that Prerna to report once in 3 months.
Okay.
So if there's something like this that you can do, then your youth, the boys, the juvenile in conflict with law, they'll come to you for counseling, because at the end of it you also want healing. This is also probably a project where your objective is for future prevention.
Yeah.
So if you could try this out, I think
Yeah.
it'll be, your intervention would have more meaning than just very just doing piecemeal work kind of.
Yeah, the mandatory reporting is a very difficult issue, I think, because in these cases where the boy and girl have had consensual relationship and they've run away and the girl doesn't want to go home, the case has been brought by the parents to the police, and the police have brought the case against the boy and sent the boy to the boy's home and the girl to the girl's home. So if there is no reporting, of course, the case doesn't come up to JJB or to the police either.
So the parents have reported.
The parents have reported this case.
I have a question. Can I go ahead? Okay. I'm Shreya. I'm working with Arpan here.
Okay.
What I wanted to know is that with the recent Nirbhaya judgment, there was a lot of outrage at the fact that a 17-year-old was not being sent to the gallows with the rest of them. And this is a very new field of work, and you are very new at it as well.
Yeah.
But clearly there is a lot of disgust, shock, rage associated with the fact that even people below 18 are capable of expressing sexual aggression. So I was wondering that you use the word non-judgmental. So if there is any sort of capacity building or resource building that you do towards maybe developing a code of ethics or maintaining that level of objectivity or non-judgmentality. So is there any sort of work you do towards that, a conscious attempt at being able to maintain those two qualities in this work?
Well, we are non-judgmental only in the sense that we are not branding them or labeling them as criminals who cannot improve. We are saying that given proper counseling, proper guidance, they can get back into society, into their families, they can get back to their education or some vocational guidance and some productive work. Whereas if you, in many countries, for serious cases, serious charges like murder and rape, even children above the age of 16 are put into, they go through the regular court trials and so on. But there is one opinion in India which says that if you do that with these children, you are really removing every chance from them of getting back into society, because you are then putting them into hardcore criminals in the regular prisons, and they will have no chance of reforming there at all. And as we know, POXO has said that the cases should finish within 1 year. But we don't know whether that's really going to happen. And even a 1 year period is a long enough period for this boy to even get abused in the prison, or to get really hardened as a result of the surroundings there. So there is one section of opinion which thinks that they should not go to the regular courts or the regular prisons, but should stay in the observation homes. And we also have a concept of something called Bostel, which I think there's one in Nashik, where children can stay up to the age of 21. So even if they complete 18 years of age and they still have their 3-year period, according to the JJB decision, they can be put in that home. They are not allowed to go, and they're made to do some community service, some hard labor also. So they're not really allowed to just get away without taking any responsibility for their actions.
Hi, I'm Pooja from Arpan.
Yeah.
I had a question around the challenge that you mentioned, that because boys don't stay for very long in the home, and there's a lot of moving out within a few months, the boys are shifted out. Can you still talk about a story of change or a success story that within a few months you could see some shift as a result of your counseling process?
I think the time is a little short because we just started this last year, and if we track them for a longer period, maybe over 4-5 years, we might be able to come up with a success story. This is too short a time, but it's a new area of work, and I thought it's an interesting area of work for us and maybe for everybody too. To understand what is going on in their minds when they commit these acts of abuse. And we find that many of them don't really know what they're doing. They don't understand the gravity of what they're doing too.
I have a question. This is Sumana from Sahas Foundation. I commend your work, on working with these at-risk children and being compassionate to them and believing in them. One thing that you brought up was sexual education, to teach them consequences of sexual activity and how that would help them. What age do you think that's appropriate to get started on?
Oh, you mean for any children? Are you
for
talking
for any children, and then particularly these at-risk children as well?
At-risk children? You can start at any age really. I mean, right from a very young age, you have to start with not making the child dirty about their private parts, giving names to the private parts, not slapping their hand when they are touching their private parts, because they get pleasure from it, and it's a natural and very normal thing for them to do. And as they get, you can tell them this is not something to be done in public. They will understand that. But if you tell them that this is dirty and this is bad, then if they are abused sexually, they are not going to come and talk to anybody about it, because they will think of it, they will blame themselves for being dirty and bad and avoid talking about it. So the sexual education will starts right from birth really. As soon as the child understands about the body and so on. And it's a very natural thing for the child to touch the private parts, just like it touches other parts of the body. It's the adult who teaches them that certain parts are bad and certain things are not to be done and so on.
And what about like intercourse and things like that, which comes to talking about consequences of diseases? What age do you think that's appropriate?
I think as the children who are reaching puberty, I think that would be a good age to talk to them. So 12 to 14 and so on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have something to add here. See, as far as my name is Mahendra Singh. I'm Program Manager Child Protection of Maharashtra State Child Protection Society. It is the statutory body of Women and Child Development Department, and we are implementing integrated child protection scheme in the state of Maharashtra. It has recently started from last year onward. See, as far as sexual education is concerned, I think all of us need to work and see that I'm completely agree with you that the sexual education need to start as early as possible. Uh, and the starting point can be, of course, family is the first step, but after the family comes the school. When the child get socialized, child start socialization process. So we all need to work and see that how the sexual education component can be included in the school curriculum itself. It's a big challenge, but all of us need to work towards that. That's the first thing. Second thing, with respect to working with children who are in conflict with law specifically, or I just want to share with all of you that there is a mandatory provisions of Government of India now to all the children's homes or observation homes or special homes, etc. It is mandatory for superintendents to or all the stakeholders, whether it is police, whether it is CWC, whether it is JJB or the home officials, that they need to uh, uh, make a child care plan. They need to prepare a child profile, each child profile, and they need to fill this information regularly on the particular website, trackthemissingchild.gov.in. That's a website which it's a pan India site, and Government of India has made it mandatory. So what is important in this case is stay of the child is irrelevant, whether the child stay for 8 days or 1 month or 2 months or probably for 3 years, whatever will be this thing. It is mandatory that each and every child need to have a child care plan. So we are working on that. Institutions which are with us, like 40 institutions, has started doing that. They have started uploading this data, this information. So all of us need to see that whether the child care plans, NGOs who are interacting with JJBs, NGOs who are interacting with these observation homes or children homes, whether this child care plan is getting prepared by the home official or not. That's very important. Another thing is I slightly disagree. I mean, I very much disagree with you on this term minor offender, because there is nothing called minor offender or
I
any
used it
child.
only once. And to, yeah.
Any child who is in conflict with law, I mean, any child who it comes only in the category of conflict with law below 18. That's the only thing I just thought I should add it.
I think the ICPS is a very good scheme. Like somebody said, I think, I don't know who, Ingrid said that it's an excellent scheme on paper right now, and we all hope that it gets implemented.
Just to add, now it's not in paper; it's getting implemented in
It is
Maharashtra
getting-
from last
yeah.
2 years,
Yeah.
and various components. As for example, I will just tell you that we have made mandatory for all home staff to sign a child protection policy. That every staff will sign. That is at least in the ICPS home, which we hardly have 98 homes under us.
Okay.
In Maharashtra, there are 12,000 plus homes. But there are several, initiatives which has already been started. And some of the institutions which are not working well, we have also cancelled. Those who are not working as per the JJ Act provisions.
Yeah. So I think with all these laws and policies and action plans and so on, we need to change the attitudes also, the mentality, the perspectives of looking at children and child sexual abuse. Just the law is not enough. You have to bring about a change, in the perspective also.
Thank you. If I may intervene.